So in this video we're going to look at the final sail of leg 1 in Drew's Round the World solo sail from Cadiz to Gibraltar. It's the first leg because Gibraltar represents the last stop in continental Europe. My plan now is to be at anchor in Gibraltar for 1 week, 1 week in Ocean Village Marine in Gibraltar to pick up the parasailer that's being sent from the UK. Then I've got some personal business in Almerimar, so I'm going to sail there and sail back to Gibraltar, which isn't part of the Round the World sail, but have boat will travel. And then hopefully I'm going to get to Porto Santo, Madeira, the Canary Islands and the Cape Verdes, and then we'll do the Atlantic towards the end of the year. So because I've only just finished working on the transmission and want to do some shakedown sails and test the engine before committing to long offshore distance sailing, I've decided to break up this relatively short distance into 2 day sails, Cadiz to Barbate, Barbate to Gibraltar, and also this is Orca Alley and they've been very busy this season, so I want to make sure I'm sailing during the day in case I get into troubles. There's going to be more people around, I can see the shoreline and those kind of things. When I anchor, I use a line with a rubber snubber attached to the boat, attached to the anchor chain with a rolling hitch. What I'm doing here is turning the rope around just in case there's undue pressure or chafe on a certain part of the line. Trekking out into Orca Alley a little bit more than I'd like to, but we're going upwind. I'm going to try and do it in one tack. So probably about another hour outside the Bay of Cadiz. Doing 5.7 knots though, champagne sailing. I'm going to get that wind noise in a minute. I do need a new main at some point, but at the moment it's going to work. Just give it a bit more outhaul to pull some of the wrinkles out of the foot of the sail. And it's looking okay. A little bit baggy and stretched. The old Giganoga is doing alright. About 4 hours in, I can still see where I left the anchorage. Very, very slow departure from Cadiz. Oh, just as I put the camera on, we get a puff of wind. It's been about forced to, so doing about 1 knot through the water because the tide's been against us. And I'm right at the back of this wind, and if I don't catch it up, it's just going to fizzle out. Club Tropicana, drinks all free. Look at your dirty feet, boy. Disgusting. I have a permanently attached inner forestay, which means tacking the Genoa often ends up in it getting entangled. So I have different techniques to tack depending on the wind strength. If it's low to medium, I can often just winch it round. If it's higher wind, then it will get permanently trapped there, so I have to half fill it in and then tack. So the story with this boat behind me, I first thought it was Spanish, but it's actually a French boat. Came up on my AIS as a dangerous target. It was heading straight for me. I was a stand-on vessel, but I moved out of the way anyway because he just carried on heading straight for me, no matter what I did. When he reached me, he tacked. He pointed at himself, he pointed to me, and then he pointed at Trafalgar Cape. So, which meant race, and that's exactly what he was doing. So my AIS alarm was going off for 3 hours until we raced all the way till Trafalgar, and I beat him by 30 metres. Anybody that knows history knows that Trafalgar was the start of the fall of Napoleon. So it was quite good fun, an English bloke, 2 Frenchies racing to Trafalgar. I've just had a shower. Abajo, arriba, izquierda, derecha. So apart from the clouds, which should clear up later, couldn't ask for more this morning. Been about 4.5 knots. It's around about 10 knot wind, I would have thought. But nice flat water. All the sails up. Tracking nicely on the wind vane. And one thing I noticed, shows you I'm always out in spicy weather. This is the first time I've heard the sound of the wind vane rudder. I've never noticed it before. Very relaxing. So the reason for staying at Barbotti was really a convenient stop. So that corner there gets you to Barbati, that white village there. The problem was I didn't check. I knew there was a music festival at the reef, which is only 20 odd miles away from Cadiz. This is 35, so it gets me a bit further around the corner and use the daylight hours for sailing. There was the Cabo de Plata, Cape of Silver, on, and it finished at 5 o'clock this morning, and I was basically at the disco in my bunk, so I didn't sleep. So I've had 3 nights of no sleep, because the first night the first night before going into the drink I didn't sleep, so I was too nervous about I was going to get propulsion, I was going to look like an idiot, dropped in the plonk, and then not been able to move and going, can you get me out again? Then the second night, well, the first night back on the water, I picked another convenience anchorage. So it was very rolly, but it just gave me the best angle to get down to Barbacti. And I was hoping I could sleep a little bit on the way, and I would have done, apart from some Spaniard and his mate decided to race me. It's hyper unusual to see Spanish houses with big windows like these. Traditionally they're very, very small windows, and most of the time, at least in the south, they're boarded up most of the day because of the heat. But here there's 3 things going in their favour. They've got a mountain behind them, so they're not getting heat or sun coming into the house in the mornings. They're west facing, so they get fantastic sunsets over the Atlantic. So one way I can tell I'm getting into the sailorman lifestyle is my croc broke, and had I been at home I would have looked at that going, oh, that's it, throw it away. But sailorman Drew here, zip tie, bada boom bada bing, jobby dum. Whoop whoop, 8 knots. Don't get too excited though, folks, most of it is still tide, but the wind's filled in. Still quite flat water though, which is helping with the speed and keeping the hill down. I was planning to go the whole day without reefing today, let's see. Tarifa. I've got 2 targets in there. Woo! What was that? In my zone 1. There we go, back under control. Whoop! Lose it for a second, trying to film, and you go, whoopie-doo! Right. You think, oh, I should have reefed. The thing is, I'm going to go all wind as soon as I get around this corner. So that'll take the bite out of it. 9 odd knots at times. But as you can see, the boat is still relatively flat, which means it's 3/4 of it is the tide. It's the water carrying me along. Whoop! Right, I'm going to put you down and get around this corner. See you later. Oh, that's better, it's flattened off already. Sweet! Cool, got a little bit wet there for a minute. Word, Miss Manelli, that was spicy. Oh look, there's Morocco. So we tacked pretty much on the shipping lane, and ideally, pretty much going upwind now, ideally I'd like to be on the Genoa, but I've done my old trick of getting the main on the spreaders. I haven't got a preventer on, but my boom brake down there will stop it from jibing off it. If it does an accidental jibe, it'll be very slow and controlled. And we are still doing 7.7 knots, and we've not got too far to go. So I wouldn't do this all day. I think we've got 2 hours to go, so the main can take that against the spreaders. And peaceful, now we're going upwind again. Oh, that was a bit Vindaloo though for a minute. Burning 100 watts to make slow cooked bacon and eggs. Speciality à la fleur. So that white cushion backrest there, I found at a dumpster. Cleaned it up a little bit, needs a bit more of a spruce. So it functions as a backrest cushy for my butt. And I also kneel on it when I'm attending to the hydrovac. So it's almost perfect, doesn't quite fix, it isn't round like the Coben, but it's functional. That is my approach to the boat. It doesn't have to be chic, it can be shabby, but it must be functional. So there's loads of things on the boat that look a bit odd, but they serve a purpose. No, you can go down, I'm going to sit on you. Rather a dull day to witness the Gibraltar Rock for the first time, but hey ho, at least the sailing was good. So I've swapped anchorages. I'm here for a week on anchor until I've got my booking with the Marina over there, because it's a westerly. So I'm moving to that side of the bay, no great shakes, and I'll move when it changes to an easterly. So since getting back in the water, I've noticed 3 things that are broken or not working. So I twisted the speed impeller, it was at the wrong angle, and I'm now getting speed on the speed log. However, it's erroneous, because I was thinking, well, I was doing 9.4 knots at times yesterday, and this was showing 2.4. And I know that there's strong tides in the Strait of Gibraltar, so I'm thinking, well, that's all tide that will be due. But actually, the tides are 2.7 going east and 3 going west. So I was getting a lot of boat speed, up 6.5 knots from the sails. Not really bothered about that, I don't care. I go with nature. The depth log still isn't working. I'm going to dive in and clean the bottom of it to see whether the anti-foul that I've put on it is affecting it. And then I didn't even reef yesterday, but one of the reefing lines came apart in my hand. The plastic is just split there, so I need a new double block. I think that's just age and sun damage, because it wasn't even under tension. And then I was happy with the engine for about 2 hours, and I noticed that the water pump was leaking. Wasn't sure what it was at first, but now I am 99% convinced it's the seal at the back of the pump that I probably dislodged when I changed the impeller. So not a big job. I can pick up a service kit because the seal comes with a service kit. Volvo Penta one's about 60 quid, and then I can replace that when I get to the marina. Sailing, 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 sailing.